Greetings to our listeners. Welcome aboard episode 63 of the Six Sports Podcast. Your host Sergio here, Anthony and Igor. Joining me tonight to discuss what is it? What is it? What?
What's to smack you in the nuts?
Don't look at this.
But what are you gonna do?
Just don't look at it. Stop staring at it.
I'm staring at it. We're not in the same room.
Okay.
You can't do anything about it.
I could meet you later. Relax.
I mean, you could.
He knows
it's
where you
doubtful
will.
that you
Put this in
will.
my back pocket.
Listen, you're seconds from falling asleep now. Imagine 45, 50 minutes from now. Deep breath.
Go Pirates.
Pirates. Jesus. What do we want to talk about?
A possible Dak Prescott extension?
Sure. But we cover Toronto sports, so maybe we should
All right.
start off by covering the most important sports happening in Toronto in the last week. And that would be Money in the Bank. That was here on Saturday night at Scotiabank Arena. The WWE in town. And boy, what a card it was.
Great show.
Was a good
Loved
show.
it.
Was
Great
a good show.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm a little upset that they saved Rhea for Monday Night Raw.
Yeah, I just watched the.
I'm a big Rhea Ripley fan. Rhea Ripley and Liv Morgan for me, and the fact that they're going head to head. What can I say? Is it politically correct for me to say we're gonna put Pornhub to the side and more Monday Night Raw?
You can't tell your secrets to everybody.
I'm a big fan. Anyways, no, we don't need to cover any more of Money in the Bank.
The
Although
real biggest thing in Canada.
What's
Yeah.
that?
Canada playing for third spot in CONCACAF.
Amazing, eh?
CONCACAF or Copa America?
Well, I
Copa.
mean, it's part of CONCACAF.
Yeah,
Copa,
same.
Copa America. That's listen, all jokes aside, that's a big thing. And I'd bet a shiny dollar that they're going to win third place as well. I really would. I'd put some money on it.
Who are they playing? The loser of Ecuador and Colombia? Or Uruguay? So is that
Uruguay. Yes.
Uruguay?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what's the score in that game right now, Igor?
Checking right now.
This is what happens when we
One
record
nothing,
live.
Yes.
1-0 Colombia.
1-0 Colombia over Uruguay.
Let's go.
Yeah, whatever the result is in each year, I'll tell you why, eh? Because I feel like we need to start putting this in there for those bettors out there, because the most likely sponsorship that we'll ever get on this podcast is sponsoring a betting website. Whoever loses tonight is going to kind of be really pissed off that they're not going to the final. And I don't think they're going to pay much attention to the third place game. And all the better, because a third place finish for Canada, it's already been a successful tournament. There's no question about that. Could I say arguably the biggest step for the Canadian men's national team to this point in their history?
Sure.
Right? Call it a fourth place finish, call it a third place finish, whatever you want. It's probably the best showing that you've seen from this team. I mean, the general consensus around Canada soccer right now is that really looking forward to 2026. I'm not as sold on the hype train for that.
Yeah. Okay. So.
And I'm not trying to diminish them in any sense. If they get a good draw, and what I would figure here, because part of what's going to go into, they've already qualified for the World Cup. So let's preface it by saying that because they're one of the host nations, along with Mexico and the U.S. So I don't know exactly ultimately when the teams are decided for the World Cup. Where is Canada going to land in terms of how the ping pong balls with the teams get drawn out of each fishbowl? I believe is mostly predicated on FIFA ranking.
So about that, I'm looking at it right now.
Yeah.
Updated the 20th of June. Next update of this will be the 17th of this month.
Yeah, they're
But we
48th,
jumped,
right?
yeah, we jumped one spot up to 48.
Right. And I would figure that fourth or third, whatever you want to call it in this tournament, may get them into the 30s.
Oh, you think it's gonna be that much?
It may get them into the 30s.
Yeah, actually, we're not that many points, but like 7 points back of 46. So I don't know how many points you get for placing wherever.
I don't know exactly what the order is on how the rankings completely play a role and a factor into the World Cup drawing. If they end up in a decent group, then yes, they could possibly exit the group stage at the World Cup and make it into the knockout rounds. Yeah. Again, like I feel like I'm so content on ripping on every other team in Toronto, but I feel like I want to be ginger around the edges here because it's like, hey, they're finally doing something on the big stage.
But you know what? Okay, well, look. I mean, here's the thing with Team Canada Soccer, right? At what point do you stop being content? Right? At one point, like
I don't even think you're nowhere close to that, though.
Well, I'm not saying you got to start expectations of a World Cup or anything like that. You know what I mean? But my point is, and I'll just piggyback a point that I read online today. This team so far does not score goals. This team so far, and I'm going to give the coach a mulligan on this one because he's only been on the job for 70 odd days, does not know what to do with Alphonso Davies.
Oh, yeah.
Right? So that's the stuff that's going to have to get worked on, in my opinion.
Well, I don't think that it's not so much that the Davies factor has to get worked on, because if you have stronger options,
pedestrian yesterday.
He did, but if you have stronger options on D, then you can play him on the wing.
Well, that's part of it. That's
right.
And you've got 2 years. I'm just saying, like, at what point are we just going to stop with all of this?
But you're not going to stop with all of this, because anyone that follows Canada Soccer understands it. But it's not only that; it's too new. It's not invested in, Ant.
Yeah, the money.
See, we're not only talking about the national stage of soccer. Canada doesn't get a sniff at U17, U19. And when you look at the nations that are consistently in the mix on the world stage, they have teams in the U17, in the U19, right? Okay. That are consistently bringing up players. Canada doesn't have that. So in order to get that, there has to be further investments in the overall program of Canada Soccer. And we're not talking about, $1 million here and a few 100,000 there. We're talking about significant investment.
But that would come with a change in expectation.
But the expectation can't change.
Yeah, unless you invest.
The investment isn't there. So if you tell me tomorrow that $40 million is being invested into Canada Soccer in general, I'm just throwing out a random big number, then I would tell you that my expectations with that are going to have a timeline and they're going to grow considerably, right? If you tell me that there's no investments that are being made, then I don't know what my expectations can be other than to be grateful that these guys are playing, decent soccer. We all understand who they played last night. It's the number 1 ranked team in the world. God bless them that they've only lost 2-0. And truthfully, in the first 15, 20 minutes, they had a couple of opportunities. They really, really did, right?
So they set a record yesterday when it comes to viewership on TV.
Amazing.
Right?
Sure.
Bell Media revealed this afternoon that an average audience of 2.8 million tuned in to watch the game. 2.8 million.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
I would like to see what that is. What's relative to 2.8 million?
The Leafs and the Bruins on a Saturday night.
Probably not any Saturday night, though. I don't think any Saturday night hockey gets 2.8 million.
Well, Igor, you had a number for the playoffs.
The real standout stat is that 6.9 million Canadians watched at least part of the game.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And
that's awesome.
The average was
So
like
the average is
3.9 million or something like that, which was
Cool.
600,000 more than Edmonton in the Stanley Cup.
Listen,
2.8 million is the average, and it was on CTV. That's the other thing too. It wasn't just on TSN, right? It wasn't just on, say, Sportsnet.
Right.
It was on CTV, right? So that has a larger reach to it.
It does, yeah.
2.8 million. I mean, it's
CTV
number.
is part of your basic cable package. TSN would not be. TSN is part of an upgraded plan. So,
yeah. I just want to see it keep going, but I just don't want to like. One, I think you're wrong to assume that just because you've had a successful run that it leads to greater things. You know what I mean?
Well, it doesn't.
No, it doesn't, right? Like and that's in any sport. So I'm just saying it's not like I'm watching this yesterday, and as excited as I was to watch the game and see them play a team like Argentina and things like that, then I started putting on my critical eye. Right? So that's where it's like, okay, I'm happy you guys are here, but now I want to start doing something with this.
What the issue with soccer? Maybe issue isn't the correct word, but when you don't have things coming in the pipe to push either the players that are there or to supplant if there's an injury along the way, things can fall apart, and they can fall apart rather quickly. I'm not a huge club soccer fan of watching. I get tired of watching Serie A and like English Premier. I can't invest in it,
right?
For a lot. I tried a little bit with MLS, but it's kind of the same thing. It's just like I'm a big fan, as many people are, of things that get to the national stage, if we'll call it that. And the point that I'm getting to, like, to talk about things from falling apart, because I can just draw on our background and our experience with the Italian national team. There's a team that doesn't qualify for the 2018 World Cup. They start to bring in some kids into the program. The 2020 Euro gets delayed by 1 year because of COVID. Happens in 21, and they win the Euros. And they looked great in the majority of the games, playing a style of soccer that I hadn't seen at that point from Italy in a really long time, just consistently generating offense. And you said, great, this is going to be the next iteration. And you had a young Chiesa at that point, and Barella, and I mean, whatever. I mean, like, that team, okay? Then, literally, as the months finish from winning that Euro, they can't qualify for the next World Cup. Like, it could fall apart that quick. And injuries and stuff like that play a factor. So, but now we're talking about, and listen, Italy hasn't qualified for 2 World Cups. They flamed out of these Euros right now. That's a country that has a U17, that has a U19 program, that has a little bit of future to look at. And I'm just citing them as an example. You can't even put Canada on the pedestal with these teams. And Italy isn't one of the higher ranked European nations right now.
They're 10th.
They're going to drop.
They drop 1 to 10.
That's based of June 20th.
Yeah, but
the next one's probably going to have to at 13th or 14th, man.
Yeah.
So do you understand what I'm saying? So when we talk about Canada soccer, this is the point.
Canada does have a U17 team.
Yeah,
we're just saying
here's the difference.
We're just not very
they
good.
Don't compete.
Here's the difference.
You understand? Go ahead.
Hockey generates more than $11 billion in economic activity for Canada.
Absolutely.
I guarantee you it's like not even 10 million for soccer.
Okay, but I'm going to give you a newsflash moment right now because I want to put a bow on this and spin some positivity.
Yeah.
When impactful sporting events happen in this country, youth see it.
Yeah,
okay.
I think it's the quickest growing sport.
Okay, no. So there's a reason why basketball blew up in Canada. Okay, and it's as simple as you're driving me nuts with your headphone. Eh? It's simple as the Vince Carter years, because that's where it started with the Toronto Raptors.
Yeah,
Raptors are getting play on a national level in Canada always, but especially then, the team was making runs. They were going to the playoffs. You have youth come up. That's what they're seeing. That's what they're watching. That's what they gravitate to. It's fantastic. What else allows them to go to basketball and invest in basketball? It's cheap. So the biggest issue with hockey, and this has been talked about for years, is that it's very, very expensive. It's very expensive. It's the most expensive.
Didn't they just announce that the participation rates dropped?
Of course.
Quite a bit.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Then, and you can't ignore this, right? Canada's a melting pot, always has been a melting pot. Okay. And you have more and more immigrants coming into the country. Soccer is known worldwide. It is the biggest sport in the world. That's unquestionable. That's inarguable. So now you have impactful games being seen on TV nationally by the youth of this country. The importance of Canada soccer continuing, the men's national team specifically, continuing their success is that it becomes impressionable on the youth. They gravitate to that. And soccer, because I played it when I was a kid, is not expensive. It's not expensive.
You need shoes and a ball.
You need You need a pair of cleats and some shin guards, and away you go, and a ball. And so there's an opportunity here for massive uptick in interest, okay, by the youth of this country. Massive uptick in more people wanting to play. So this is why it's imperative, in my opinion, that the country, government, all levels,
of course,
need to assist in making an investment in Canada soccer. And you're probably not going to see the fruits of the labor in 26, but you can start, if you do it, you can start raising the expectations when you get to 28 Copa, 2030 World Cup. That's when you can really see the fruits of your labor. My opinion. Anyways, that's a positive twist on it. So, want to stick with Canada for something else here? Canada basketball.
Sure.
Olympics are what? 2 weeks? 1 week? When do the Olympics start? Okay, that's it. We don't know.
Not in Toronto, so I don't focus on them.
Oh, give me a break.
The 26th on Friday.
Hooray.
I'll be tuning into the Olympics. I can promise you that. First off, Penny Alexiak in the pool. Okay. I've been following her since 2 Olympics ago when she came out of nowhere, started winning all those damn golds. So hopefully we can have a good showing there again. But they announced the rosters today. Not many surprises, I guess. I mean, it was known as of a week ago that Golden State kind of blocked Wiggins from being on the team. But Ant, you weren't even convinced that he should have a spot based on his play last year.
Yeah, there just seems to be something going on with Andrew and his lack of consistency, right? And he was a bit of a no-show for most of the year. So I don't know if it's personal or if there's an injury there. Like would I put him on? Yeah, probably. But would I put him on the center of? I wouldn't put him on the poster. I'd put him on the team, but I wouldn't put him on the poster.
Okay.
Right?
Not a starter?
No, not at all. Not at all.
What's our expectations here? Like, what's the actual? Because expectations are high.
How many teams are there?
8.
8?
I think.
I don't know, man. Top 5's gonna seem pretty difficult, but if we could hit top 5,
Top 5.
Yeah.
Are you kidding?
No, the expectation is they medal.
The expectation is a silver medal, hard.
Yeah, at minimum.
Aren't teams? Okay, correct me if I'm wrong. I haven't been following, but like some, Serbia or something, or like Spain's always a big time team.
Sure.
Yeah.
Spain's always been good on the world
USA,
stage.
So that's number 1, basically.
Yeah, but you can't just hand USA number 1
not
right
hand
now.
it, but it's going to come down to like a Spain or a USA or something like
sure.
that.
Absolutely.
An NBA-based team with an NBA, a national basketball team with an NBA-filled roster generally has had trouble adjusting to the international game. It's a lot more physical. Some of the rules are a little different, things like that. But this Canadian team, you look at their roster, I would suggest is clearly as strong as it's ever been. They've never had this type of level of commitment from their top tier players. So Rowan Barrett has done an amazing job of acquiring talent. Again, we talked about that with soccer, the investment of Canada basketball. All these young kids grew up, and all of their favorite players, so many of them, whether it was Steve Nash, Vince Carter, but there's that local tie, right? Whether it's to a local team in Canada or to the fact that you have a Canadian player who achieved so much success in the case of Steve Nash.
They're currently ranked 7th in the world.
Mm-hmm.
That's fine. They've never played with this roster before. They've never had a backcourt of Jamal Murray and SGA. So it's the deepest team they've ever had. Is it a perfect team? Like if I'm assembling this roster, no. That great Canadian big man hasn't shown up yet. And I don't know, with all due respect to Zach Edey, who got drafted this year, top 10 pick in the NBA, and then decided he was going to just focus on his NBA career, which I completely understand. I look at the roster, and it's a bit of a small ball. Guys like RJ are going to be playing a lot of minutes at the 4. They can probably get away with that, but it's a very, very good team. I can't wait. For me, this is the focus of the summer. It is must-watch television, 100%. Chemistry might be the only issue for me.
Absolutely, no doubt.
Jamal Murray and Shea. That's the issue. Jamal Murray and Shea. Now, when you talk to Shea, he had that famous quote of, "I drive and he shoots."
Mm-hmm.
So they almost simplified it, right? Drive and kick, I guess, but can't wait. Just cannot wait.
July 27th is their first game.
They're playing today against the Americans on an exhibition game.
On an exhibition, yeah. So, but July 27th is their first game. They'll face Greece. July 30th, they will face Australia. And then they will wrap up the group phase against Spain on August the 2nd.
Oh, wow. Amazing. Canada's got the second best odds.
Correct. That's why we said silver.
Okay, you're kind of having that go-to moment. They're like, "Whoa, wait a second!"
Wow, I didn't
Their ranking didn't matter, Igor, because they've never had this roster before.
Yeah. The three major.
And if you want to talk about numbers, if you want to see 2.8 million for soccer, Canada, Argentina. Like, to be honest, I'm a little bit down on that number. That number actually, for me and what I expect, that number actually seems kind of low. Canada, U.S., let's say basketball. I would be shocked if you don't get to what, the Raptor numbers were when they were playing Golden State. When they clinched Golden State, I've said this before, when they clinched Golden State, the average was 7 million Canadians, and the highest was 17 million.
Yeah, tuning in at some point, likely at the end of the game.
17 million. Yeah. So I would hope that we get somewhere close to that for a Canada-U.S. basketball game with a gold medal on the line.
Okay. I dig it. I dig it. And my expected, obviously, I completely agree with the expectations. If they don't silver, forget about medaling. If they don't silver medal at the least, I'd be disappointed. I would be.
I would be okay with a bronze because I would give them a mulligan and say, look, you know what? It's a 1-game thing. It's not a 7-game series, right? And so in 1 game, anything can happen.
Yeah, and it's your first time playing together.
Yeah, I mean, that wouldn't, but you guys whimper out with, say, that's the thing. Like, these programs, they seem fragile, right? So when they don't have success, you just think, so some of these guys might just say, you know what, I'm not coming back.
Right.
Like that's where we're at. You almost feel like as much as they want to play, as much pride as they have, you're almost thankful, right? Which is why the honeymoon lasts forever. Like, there's almost like you're just happy that you've got something that you can present on a world stage.
Cannot and will not disagree with that. We'll see what shakes down. We'll see what shakes down with Canada basketball coming up later on this month. You said something there. You used the word fragile. I like that word, fragile. Ricky Tiedemann exits outing with forearm tightness.
I know.
fragile.
It's just when it rains, it pours.
My God.
Right?
The Toronto Blue Jays, and their entire department of player development and whatever the hell you want to call it, cannot seem to get another starting pitcher to the big leagues. It failed miserably with Nate Pearson because of injuries. And he's now been relegated into a bullpen arm and a bullpen arm that doesn't even throw 100. All right. So this guy is the starter of the future for this team, is constantly chucking it up 99 to 101. Injury, finally healthy. We're going to put you in the bullpen. And now he can't reach 99 to 101 with any sort of consistency.
So I did some live pitching a couple of days ago in a baseball facility, and I got clocked with the radar gun. You want to know what number I hit?
You?
Yeah.
Did you go 63. Full bore on your throw?
Yeah, full bore.
63.
Couldn't brush my teeth the next day, but 63. I went full bore.
66.
You guys are good. 51.
51?
We're over.
I still would have expected a little bit more on a max throw from you. Because you're lanky.
I didn't stretch.
No.
Well, that has something to do with it.
I didn't stretch.
I think the highest I ever got in my life might have been a 53 or a 54 on a gun.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have no gumbiness in my arm. So doesn't make anything. Anyways, so Tiedemann out with forearm tightness again. Let me tell you something. First off, the amount of injuries in Major League Baseball to pitchers in the last 2 years has been uncanny. Uncanny.
I think it was Dan Shulman who years ago said, if I was a general manager and I go to the draft, I just draft pitchers. All I do is draft pitchers because you are going to need them all because they are so hit and miss.
But it's
and
so
then the injuries kick in.
But the injuries in the last 2 years and especially this year.
Yeah.
It's overboard. And I know that, Chris Bassett's been one guy that's talked a lot about it. How much have the new pitching rules that have now come into MLB, that were obviously being tested in the minor leagues before that, the pitch clock and all of that, how much has that created an effect? Because clearly that comes into play and major league injuries go way up. So I don't know how you can't tie them to each other.
So at an amateur level, a guy who spends a lot of time now in baseball facilities, especially in the off season, everyone is talking about velo.
Well, but that's the other part of it.
Right? Everyone is just talking about velo. Right? This whole program is about where you started with your velo and where you ended up.
Yeah.
It has less to do with how many strikes you were averaging to how many strikes you're throwing now.
Because kids are not pitching, they're throwing.
It would appear that way, yes.
And that's an issue.
Right.
Because the arms aren't lasting. This is an actual epidemic in baseball right now.
Right now in baseball, who's the sexiest team in terms of the players they have and the future that awaits them? Baltimore, correct?
I guess.
Right? All these great prospects, some of them are playing, some of them are coming up. And yet even them, a pitching staff that's been decimated.
You can't sustain
right?
it.
They can't sustain this.
Cannot sustain it.
So, from a fan's perspective, or I don't know if I'm a general manager, what I wouldn't do is probably something that the Cubs did years ago, where they basically just drafted all these middle infielders. They had all these high-end prospects, positional players, and then tried to trade a couple to get some high-end pitching. When at some point you would assume that, a pitcher reaches a certain age, he's probably gone the risk factor of getting injured has been reduced.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because he's a 10-year vet.
Yes.
Now, right? It seems to be the way to go from my perspective.
Well,
there's a guy who doesn't have an injury, but like a guy like Ricky Tiedemann, Nate Pearson, Manoah, they're going to have to find out if it's not just...
Well, Manoah doesn't even
It's easy to say there's an epidemic and everyone just gets hurt. It's another thing to say, you've spent a lot of money in this baseball developing facility down there in Dunedin, this training complex. So why are we still coming up banged up?
Yeah. But right? I'm telling you that I firmly believe that it's a combination of the two.
Right.
So I think that the pitch clock has played a factor into this.
But do they have a pitch clock in the minors?
That's where it was tested
That's
before.
Where it was tested, right? Yeah.
That's why I feel like Alek Manoah's hurt now, because I feel like the pitch clock has affected his rhythm. See, he's not a velo guy. Alek Manoah at best is throwing a 94 mile per hour fastball, right? So I don't think it's a Manoah trying to get a little extra and that's what threw off his arm. No, I think he's one of those guys that was affected by the pitch clock. Tiedemann, on the other hand, is a velo guy.
Yeah.
He's a left-hander, excuse me, that's trying to throw 97, 98. I mean, listen, it's a unicorn if you can do that consistently. But my God, is someone not sitting you down saying you're a lefty? You already have an advantage. If you can locate your fastball and throw it 95, but you gotta
believe, Serge, that there is, right? And they're still just getting hurt.
Well, then, so like, what is it then? What is it? I don't use the word loosely. It's an epidemic in baseball. It's not just affecting the Jays, but I mean, it's sure as hell played a major factor into their season. I can tell you that much, because once the offense magically found some sort of an uptick being, hey, we can score 3 or 4 runs a game. Your bullpen can't hold anything because the entire back end of your bullpen that was so successful last year got injured this year. Romano's played 15 minutes. Swanson was injured at the beginning of the season and never found it when he came back. Yimi Garcia was overused because the other 2 guys were out. Then he got injured. And that's it. And here we are. And we said it at the beginning of the season. If the pitching couldn't duplicate, this team was screwed, and they're screwed.
What would you like to see more if you were a Blue Jay fan? Well, you are a Blue Jay fan. So I guess this question would be for Igor. Igor, you're on the fence whether or not you're a Blue Jay fan. Do you want to see them make a move now or just prior to the trade deadline that sets them up for next season? Right? That brings you a little bit of excitement for next season. So I guess what that means is they acquire something of impact with term.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
So buyers as opposed to sellers at the deadline. Or would you have been more content to see basically the AAA all the AAA kids up here? Like in August, do you want to see a lineup that had or has Barger and Tiedemann? Injuries aside. But injuries aside, like, would you have said, if yesterday there were no injuries, there were no steroid suspensions with guys like Aurelius Martinez, would you rather have just seen, screw this, we're bringing up the kids, and now we're going to sell hope?
With scenario 1, are we just kicking the can and putting a Band-Aid on a problem?
Well, I don't think that would be putting a Band-Aid on a problem. That would be addressing the problem.
I mean,
you're bringing in an upgrade over some position. The issue is that neither of the two are happening. They've already committed supposedly publicly that they're open to trading any player that's not under contract next year. So, what does that tell you?
So, but you're going to have to replace those players. So they're basically going to replace them with Buffalo. So
yeah, but most of Buffalo's here already. Most of Buffalo has been here already, Ant.
So we're watching.
They have wiped away some of the mystery on some of those players that could have been trade chips. If you're a rival GM right now.
Yeah, the highest value that a baseball prospect usually has
is mystery.
Is when he's considered a prospect.
Yeah, is the mystery.
Once he starts playing, yeah, absolutely.
That's it. And Barger's eliminated some of that mystery. Doesn't look like he's ready for the MLB.
Martinez is suspended.
But that, of course. And he was going to get – that's really unfortunate because he was going to get some extended runway here because, as you know,
Kiner Falefa got hurt.
Do you
think that's why when he came up he wasn't playing? because they had reasons to think that there was a test coming that he was going to fail?
No. Then why call him up?
No, but what, like this really bad timing, you called him up and then you started to get word, okay, be careful because something's happening in the next 48 hours?
I don't know.
I don't know. All right.
I have no idea. I would have sent him right back down. Try. You're not going to get tested. No. If they had any inkling, I don't think he would have been called up. It's unfortunate. You know why this disappoints me? Because it's my summer. It's my summer. And I know that the ending to my summer is going to be that, I mean, I can't even watch this team.
Yes, you can.
It's just,
you're a fan.
Yeah, but
you're a fan. You'll always watch.
No.
The hardcore fans who appreciate the game
it's not
never
even a question.
go away.
But how can you? But how can you even? Because it's not even being played right. It's not even being played right. Because then you go back to questioning decisions that the manager's making. This is all one ball of frustration.
Well, that's part of being a fan, though.
You talk about what I would like. What would you like to see as a Jays fan to put some sort of a ribbon on this season? I would like Eddie Rogers to get a frickin' camera and sit at a podium and say, I've seen enough.
Yeah, let's fire everybody.
I'm making the decision today. And that's it. And clean house.
Tough to do with the draft coming up, too.
Okay, the draft is in a week, Ant.
Tough to have done sooner than that.
No, but that's fine.
It's coming.
So clean the house.
It's coming sooner.
Clean house after the draft. Clean house after your baseball operations department goes in and makes another 17 selections that's going to lead to freaking nobody coming up to help this team in the next 3, 4, 5 years. So what does it matter? What does it matter? You want to salvage this season? It comes with the firings, the appointment of, and at this point, you got to cut the head right from the top. So it's got to start from Mark. It's got to start from Shapiro, as you want me to say, Shapiro. But it has to start right there. And you've got to clean house, and you got to announce a new president, general manager, and they come in. And then I want the next announcement to be in November, early December, from whoever that guy is, that we have come to terms on a long-term extension with Vladimir Guerrero Jr. and Bo Bichette.
And Bo.
And Bo. Yes.
Given a season.
You think that I'm going to sour on one bad season of Bo Bichette after this guy has led the American League in various hitting stats the previous 2 years? This is just a bad season. Period. The end. It's a bad season. It's a bad season that got compounded by the fact that the team was weak. Okay. And you mentally check out a little bit from that. That's it in my head. So yes, I am perfectly content with a long-term investment in Bo Bichette. And I say it again because in baseball, no contract is untradeable. Give them, find the middle ground, get it done. And if 3-4 years from now you have to pivot, you're pivoting when they're 30. Do you understand what I'm saying? They are still tradable at that point. Get it done. Stop the bullshit. Stop the madness. And figure out how to surround them with a better team next year. I don't know. Seems pretty easy in my head.
But you yourself have said what's available in free agency. And what do we have to trade? Because the prospects have all been exposed. So
you're going to have to figure it out.
It's not easy.
But you're going to have to figure it out.
It's their job.
Want to pay me to be the general manager? I'll take the job. I come at a reduced rate, $650,000 US a year. Give me the GM job for 2 seasons.
That's cheap.
It is cheap. It is cheap.
That's really cheap.
That's less than what you make now.
But
he's taking a pay cut, folks, for the love of the game.
But I get a vesting option in the 3rd year that if I get the team, if the team makes the playoffs in each of my 2 years as general manager.
Oh, wow.
You're already negotiating against yourself.
You're
negotiating against yourself if they make the playoffs.
If I get them in the playoffs in each of those first 2 years, then I get a vesting option in year 3, and the contract is $4 million for my final year as general manager.
In front of the stadium. Or
that's
a statue, rather.
Why 4? Why not from 650,000 to 6.5 million? It's more symbolic that way, right?
Yeah, I think that 4.
You could do like a presentation where the zero just.
I understand what you're saying, but 4 US is like 9.3 Canadian, and that's good. I can retire. No, you're probably right. I probably would need 6.5 US.
Move it over 1. It's a beautiful thing when the.
Well, I get a second vesting option. If they make the playoffs again in year 3, then the year 4 contract is 7.5 million US.
What if you get them to the finish line? What if they win?
Oh, I'll have language in their World Series. I get a statue, $10 million bonus. Yeah,
not bad.
Why not?
Seems like you've got it figured out. Good luck.
Absolutely. I think I could be a GM for this team.
Good luck. Seems like you've got it figured out.
Good luck. I could do it.
It's the farm system. Yeah.
I could do it. What? You give me a bunch of scouts. I put on MLB The Show, put the scouting on there,
I'll tell you right now, you know what? Okay, so you become the general manager of the Leafs, of the Jays.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
What's your first move? I'll tell you what mine is. But what's yours?
My first move as general manager? Yeah. I've already told you. I'm re-signing those 2 guys.
Oh, I'm sorry. In addition to that, to improving the team, what is your first move in an effort to improve the team around Bo Bichette and Vladimir Guerrero Jr.?
50-cent hot dog Tuesdays.
Wow.
The loony gets you 2 dogs. Huh?
That is loony.
That is, and that's loony. Important. That's important. We need more money in because we need a soda machine in the clubhouse. I wonder if any of you will get that reference. Does anybody get that reference? No, I don't think you do. Anyways, what's left?
Awesome.
What's left to talk about?
If you want to touch on that.
Okay.
I mean, I couldn't care less, to be honest with you.
Well, no, so I was going to ask actually, I was going to legitimately ask your opinion on that. So the director of scouting for the Toronto Maple Leafs, having held that position since 2021, Wes Clark, has left the organization to join the Pittsburgh Penguins and Daddy Dubas. Okay. Some people weren't thrilled with the news yesterday. Igor, why don't you tell me how you feel?
Well, I don't think it's doom and gloom like some people think it is. Like, oh, that's it. Leafs are never gonna yes, we haven't had the greatest drafting, let's say, in the last barring
100 years.
No, but let's say the last 10. Obviously, let's not count the first overall pick. Any idiot would have, taken Austin Matthews. The Martyr, let's not count that.
Yeah, I'll excuse any time the Leafs have been able to draft in the top 10.
5. Whatever.
Call it top 10.
Sure.
I mean, Matt.
But we haven't found any diamond in the roughs per se.
Okay.
Not in the same way that other teams have, anyways, right? So is it the end of the world? I don't think so. I don't even know. And granted, we still got to give it a couple years, but I don't know how many of these picks that Wes Clark is going to hit on. Okay. Cowan, Minton's projected to be a 4th line center. Okay.
Yeah, I don't know who that. I don't know who that projection's from, but anyway,
3rd.
It's the top 9. Lucky. No, it's a number 3.
Top
center.
9. So
top 9.
Yeah,
but top 9 doesn't mean top 9, but closer to 9 than 1.
Yeah, but that's fine. Okay, so no one's suggesting that he's a number 1. But if you are drafting in the 2nd round and you find your 3rd line center, congratulations. You've done a good job.
What about Easton Cowan? When was he drafted?
Easton Cowan was drafted last year.
First round, right?
Yep.
Like end of the first round.
Like right at the end of the first round.
Something like that.
28th.
28th.
28th. Yep.
Good. Yeah, if you can hit on that, that's amazing.
Okay,
if you can hit on that, that's amazing. So listen, the argument that people have is that since Wes Clark took the position of director of scouting, so basically when he fully impacted the Leafs drafts, the 2021 draft would have been the first one. They didn't have a lot of picks that year. They only had 3. The first pick was in the second round. That was Matthew Nyes. And Nyes looks okay. There's upside there. There's upside of a top 6 winger. Not bad. Okay. He followed that up in 2022. Fraser Minton in the second round. Dennis Hildeby in the 4th round. Nikita Grabenkin in the 5th round. These are names.
Lisowski's been talked about this year, even though we didn't give him a qualifying offer, but
he's coming to the
Wickenheiser
training camp. Yes. Yeah. So, but these are names, and we'll see where they shake out. Last year, Easton Cowan, Noah Chadwick. Okay, again, Noah Chadwick's a defenseman. It's going to take time, and then the guys that were selected this year. So, listen, there's some names there. Now, the reason why I personally don't think it's doom and gloom is because I look at who the core of this team is. I look at their ages. And I don't know if I've said this before, but realistically, your window with this core who is coming back is 4 to 5 years. Once you start getting to the other side of 30, maybe the window isn't as prominent as it can be now when they're at their height. Hold on a second. We know the story of the team. The point that I'm making is this. From 2021 to 2024, so this group of draft picks, these are the draft picks that if they've done their job, these are the ones that will impact this core. So much like you and I have talked about before, Ant, it's about getting these kids that can come up, that play on these entry-level contracts, but support the role, right?
Yeah, you got to overplay the value of your contract.
You got to overplay the value of the contract. And when you look at, like Dallas is an example of it this year, where the vets that were on the team before, the Jamie Benns and the Sagan as they got later into their 30s, but Dallas supplanted that with strong drafts and getting really good kids to come in, and then doubled on those kids like Hintz and Jason Robertson, and backed it up even more with even more kids. You understand what I'm saying? And that helps. So you get guys on your roster, like Anthony's saying, that's overplays the value of their contract. You're going to need that right now from a Matthew Nyes. Eventually, when they hit the roster, you're going to need that from an Easton Cowan and then Fraser Minton. Can Fraser Minton play a third-line center role? Well, you hope so. And if he can, and he's doing it on an entry-level contract, you're saving $3 to $4 million, right? And that's part of what creates a window for this team. Wes Clark has done his job. He's given you those guys. The guy that you draft next year in 2025 is not going to see this team until 28, 29, if you're lucky. Your core guys are already in their 30s. The window is now, okay? So this is why I'm not panicking about Wes Clark leaving. He's gone. Well, he's done his job for the team. What needs to happen, though? Sorry?
I don't think he hit on anybody.
You don't know that yet.
No, but I do, because from 2018 to now.
That's not his. He was in the organization. He was not the director of scouting.
Okay. So
did he have a voice? Maybe. But he didn't have the same level of voice as he had when he's the director of scouting.
Okay, I'm just going to give you this right now.
Go ahead.
The only 2 regular NHLers from 2018 have both been traded. And it's Sean Durzi and Rasmus Sandin.
Yeah, and Pontus Holmberg hasn't looked bad.
Yeah, Holmberg for the most part, too. Nick Robertson, 2019. The 2020 year has 0 NHL games.
Yeah.
No one's played. Granted, number one.
Granted, Amarov is not here anymore.
Yeah, 15th overall should have been a player.
Yeah.
And then 21, just Matthew Nyes, and obviously 22, just Fraser Minton for 4 games. But
you don't know about the rest.
No, it's way too early. I understand. But like,
none of them are defensemen, right?
Is not until now, like our last couple.
Ben Danford this year. Our first 2 picks this year, mind you. The second pick came in round 4.
Well, but, Ronnie Hervinen. Oh no, sorry, not Topi Niemela.
Hey, that's
Niemela is
a 64th
a nothing
pick. Yeah.
A nothing. He hasn't sniffed.
I don't know what the draft capital is for the Pittsburgh Penguins, but the fact that the Leafs are known to have a rather low amount of draft picks.
Pittsburgh doesn't have anything. They've traded everybody away.
Pittsburgh, have they?
Have they?
It would make sense. Like that would make sense.
So if you pulled up Pittsburgh's future draft picks, you think that they're
draft picks. I'm talking about like their cupboard's pretty bare, like current cupboard.
Sure. Yeah. And now they're gonna
pick, right, which means like the worst thing in the world for any scout, the most demoralizing thing for any scouting staff is you eat in these crappy restaurants in these shitty hotels. You're in these horrible arenas watching some kid play, only to get a phone call from your general manager saying we've just moved a couple picks.
Yeah. Well,
so why am I here? Right?
I don't think you have to worry about that in Pittsburgh. I really, really don't.
So
I really don't.
They currently have 1 first-round pick, 1 second, 1 third, 1 fourth, 2 fifths, 1 6, 1 7.
Okay. Are you talking about Pittsburgh?
Yeah.
That's next year. And 2025, yes?
Yeah.
And what does Toronto have?
Toronto next year might have 3 picks.
Oh, Toronto has only 3, yeah. We don't have anything until like the 5th. Hold on, I'll tell you right now.
We don't have a first-round pick next year?
No.
Why?
We traded it.
Dubas had traded that
We have...
For what?
1 second, a 5th, a 6th, and a 7th.
Is this all from the Ryan O'Reilly deal?
I believe so. Yeah, the 25 I think is part of the O'Reilly deal. Yep. Daddy Dubas.
So there's not
That's
much.
Okay.
Hope.
The hope is in the kids you've already drafted.
Yes, but you like to have that replenishing thing going on, right?
Well, I mean, ideally, but the reality is this: a contending team is moving picks every year.
All right, refresh my memory. Give me the top 6 forwards for, when the season starts in October, and no, Mitch Marner will not be traded.
No,
we got it right here.
You want to know who the top?
Matthews, Marner, Nyes, Tavares, Nylander, and
that's the opening, bud.
Is it?
That's the opening. That's the job that's going to be won by somebody. Is it Nick Robertson, who concedes and says, okay, I'll stay with the team because he sees an opportunity ahead of him? Could be him.
Currently, Bobby McMahon penciled into that spot.
So I'm going to tell you this much. I'm not so sure that Matthew Nyes starts the season on left wing 1.
Okay. But, he's in that mix, right? That's what I'm saying.
He's in that mix, but because there was some chemistry with Max last season.
Ah, that's right, Max.
To avoid having an undersized third line, do they look at putting him there with Domi and then Yarncroke on that line to keep some defensive responsibility?
Well, there was also some chemistry with Austin Matthews and Max Domi.
Yes, but as of right now, Domi is centering a line.
Yeah.
And that's where the mystery comes in. Does Fraser Minton come to camp and impress just as much, if not more, again this year, and get a chance again to start the season as the third line center? Then that would move Max to the wing, and then you could put Max on a Matthews line again.
There's options. Would you be okay with, or how do you feel about us actually running the William Nylander at center experiment properly instead of 1 game and then, didn't look good?
Not interested.
In place of who? Like a third line center, Igor? Like
well,
moving Tavares down to the third line?
Yeah, I guess.
Third line center, sure.
Tavares?
Maybe second line center in place of Tavares. I don't know.
Yeah.
Would you be okay with that?
I'm open to that. Why not? You've done, it's not like you've won before.
Wow.
You got to figure this out.
What's
that
I'm
element.
not blaming Tavares for the fact that they don't win, except for the fact that Tavares is a reason why they don't win.
How much runway are you going to give
They got to learn.
How much runway are we looking at? 35 games before you know if it, we should switch it or not?
Yeah, exactly.
That's enough?
Half the season.
35 games?
Yeah, like how many games?
No chance.
Why not though, Serge? They're never in any effort to miss a playoff spot.
Yeah. Well,
so why not try and do something different?
Yeah, but the try and do something different doesn't come at the expense of 35 games of trying to do it. A dozen games, if you're going to try an experiment. And in a dozen games, you're going to be able to tell if there's anything that's trending in the right direction. 35 games, guys. Jesus Christ, that's almost 50% of the season.
Well, I agree with you on that one.
No, a dozen games. And I don't know that's going to happen. I don't know that that's going to happen. Because as of today, I'm fine starting Max Domi at 3C. Almost 50% on the faceoffs, even higher in the playoffs, but averaged 50% on the faceoffs last year.
Yeah.
I get it. The defensive responsibility is not strong. That's why you play him with someone who's defensively responsible, like Järnkrok. And now you try to give him a little bit of offense, right?
Just wish Järnkrok scored more because he's got a pretty lethal laser beam.
You are
lethal laser beam, Järnkrok. He's got a lethal laser beam.
He's got a good shot.
He's got a great shot.
He's got a really good shot. Just doesn't shoot enough.
Yeah, because he can't get open. Because he can't make space between him and a defender. Because he can't get ice.
I don't know what his hockey IQ is or whatever you want to call it, but
12.
If you have described his shot as lethal laser, I'm going to ask you then why has he not received any power play time?
Oh, really?
Well, he's on power play too. I want to say.
Hold on a second.
But are you going to give him power play over Matthews and Marner? And
I'm going to do it in the. I'll at least try that when that power play goes to crap.
Oh my God! It does absolutely go to crap.
It does. So you just proved my point. If it goes to crap, then try something new. Okay. Don't give him 35 games on the power play one to see if it's going to work. But let's go back to Serge's theory and say maybe a dozen games.
They
mix it up. That's my point.
They don't know what
figure this out.
They don't know what they want to do on the power play here because they are content. And by the way, not a great track record in Calgary, but they are content.
It was a weak team.
Okay.
Well, it was. You do need some skill on the ice to actually, put the puck in the net.
Sure. Huberdeau sucks. Kadri sucks. Like these are shitty players.
They had off years.
How long was Savard with the Flames? Did he not coach during the Gaudreau-Tkachuk era? No?
They had a great... That team was like...
I don't know if he was there. for that.
That team was unreal.
But listen, I'm glad that we're going to get a new set of eyes on the power play. Really excited for it. Especially excited to get Morgan Rielly off of PP1 and replace him with Oliver Ekman-Larsson. Oh, for the love of God.
It's just more recycled trash, man.
Well, listen. I haven't watched a lot of Ekman-Larsson, but I sure hope he knows how to shoot the puck.
This goes back to the original point. When you don't have a draft, you don't have this flurry of players coming up the system. This is how you improve your team, and you don't. Well,
or you try to make a signing that works.
Okay.
So this is their attempt. The John Klingberg experiment, which I've said many times, in theory, the theory of the experiment was a great theory. Let me bring in an offensive defenseman who should be playing on my third pair and give him PP1. And for the 17 minutes that he was healthy, PP1 looked good with Klingberg because he can shoot. So you can't cheat when you have a guy at the point that can shoot. But then he made a pivot and the hip didn't work anymore. And goodbye, Charlie. The idea was gone. Always a risk when you sign him because there was injury history. But the theory of the idea was great. They moved away from that theory this year. I don't know why. Because this is a team that's really good at doubling down on their theories and doing it over and over again. Why didn't they take a shot at trying to sign, pardon me, Shane Gostisbehere, who ended up in Carolina for $3 million this season? 50-plus points on the power play last year for Detroit.
Maybe we could.
Gostisbehere, you signed Oliver Ekman-Larsson for the same money. Fuck! Listen to me, damn it!
He's got size.
To do what?
But Treliving loves size.
Treliving loves size. How tall is Shane Gostisbehere?
He's not. He wants some. I know. How tall? With all due respect, you're not going to get a physical style of play out of OEL, right? Like you're not.
Oh my no!
We're not.
No, you're wrong. You're wrong, Ant. You're wrong. Because we saw him for 3.5 seconds play in Florida, and now he was on the penalty kill, and he moved his stick and might have thrown the body a couple of times. And Oliver Ekman-Larsson has converted.
Exactly. I'm saying for a guy who likes size, are the Leafs really that much harder to play against?
Oh my God!
What did we do in the offseason? I can't even remember.
Well,
if insignificant in my opinion.
What's his name? If what's his name? Broken knees over there. Yeah, Stolarz. Yeah. What about
Stolarz? OEL. What else?
Hakanpää.
Hakanpää. Hold on. There's a big size discrepancy between the two. I'm just saying.
How big is Shane Gostisbehere? How tall is he?
5'11", 183 versus 6'2".
Okay. 6'2", what? 215?
191.
Ooh.
191. My God, I'm 6'2", 199. I'll fight him right now.
One of those two guys that you just described has put up 50 points plus in a season, I believe, at least 3 of the last 5 years. And I'm not even looking.
My God. The Leafs double down so much, Ross Atkins can do a press conference on behalf of the Toronto Maple Leafs.
Yeah.
Hey, guys, it's just me here. Listen, whether it's hockey or baseball, I just want you to know the numbers are telling us something else.
The numbers are telling us
you could do that.
Look at this. I mean, I'm looking right now at Gostisbehere, and it's upsetting me even more.
So is that your one guy that got away? Is that your one guy in this free agent frenzy? So Serge, but hold on. Then why did?
But you need a guy. Do you want to change the power play? Yes.
Get rid of him? Why did Detroit get rid of him?
He was a free agent.
Okay, so why did they sign him? They got cap space.
He made a choice. He made a choice to go to whatever team he wanted to go to. I don't know. Okay. Detroit does have other defensemen in the pipeline.
Yeah, they're pretty stacked. They got to be.
Morris Cedar was the guy who was running the power play the season before in Detroit as a rookie. Then they signed Gostisbehere. Gostisbehere stole the time because he's a power play specialist, right? Again, I'm just like, I'm with this thing that you have this idea in theory with the whole Klingberg thing last year. And the only reason why it doesn't work is because you want to go invest in an injury-prone monkey, all right? So he's gone now. He's not even getting a contract in the NHL this year. You have an option to go back to the idea because your power play needs freaking help. And you go sign Oliver Ekman-Larsson. Oh,
what if
you know what? I'm not joking. I'm gonna just try. I'm not gonna get into the debate and to the meat of OEL and Gostisbehere and all that shit because I think Sergio's done a great job of proving it. But again, like it's the Six Sports podcast. We talk Toronto sports. It's the same management style. It is this run it back, lock in thing, because you could replace names like, Klingberg and things like that. The Jays are doing the exact same thing.
I'm depressed,
right?
man.
All you have to do is you could have fixed your entire season if you just signed the guy who's batting .257 with a .320 on base, 19 home runs, and 60 RBIs for the LA Dodgers.
Oh, and if we're talking about the same guy,
where would that be
in the home run derby?
Yes, he's the last. You stole it from me. Officially the last participant in the home run derby. Good for him.
Also, hold on. What if the theory that you're talking about that you think Treliving had, he actually didn't have because it's your theory
It's my theory.
Because you are thinking logically, but you're assuming that he was also thinking this. And what if the only reason we signed Klingberg was just because he was 6'2"?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Physical John Klingberg, 6'2". Yeah.
Oh shit! His birthday's on the same day as mine. What?
Do you want to announce what day that? Well, you kind of just did. If someone wants to do their homework. Anyway, I
gotta lose some weight.
I've got nothing. I've got nothing more for you guys. That's it. We ended. You know, I just want to be happy. I just want to be happy. And Toronto sports don't make me happy.
It's not a good year.
No,
it's not a good year.
Not a good year.
I give the Leafs credit, though. I mean, the Leafs are a perennial playoff team. There's never an issue there. I mean, the Leafs and the Jays and Raptors didn't even do that.
So listen, so let me end it on this. Are you confident that they're perennial again this year?
Yeah, we're gonna make the playoffs.
They are starting the season with two goalies that neither of which we talked about this last week.
Over
neither of which have started more than 28 games in a season.
Good. That's what they need. They got to just fuck it up and change it up. They got to change it up and do something that is not normal. And maybe starting these rookie goalies and getting on a run.
Okay.
Because we're just looking for 8 weeks of lightning here, right? Just lightning has to strike.
Guys,
I'm okay with that. I'd rather do that than some kind of recycled veteran all the time that's done nothing. But
Matt Murray's going to do it.
Yeah, there you go.
What did we say last week, Igor? What did we say?
Oh,
what did we say?
What's that? Is that Matt Murray's music? Is that?
It's that at some point in the season you are going to be like, hey, is that Matt Murray's music?
Yeah. Here comes the money.
Woo!
Oh my God. And I would bet another shiny dollar that Matt Murray does see the net.
Oh, 100%.
For at least a couple games for the Leafs this year. Anyways, gents, let's wrap it up there. Folks, we're taking a hiatus because I'm taking a hiatus. Boarding another flight to Europe. And I am not back until the week of the 22nd. And if you haven't figured it out, if I'm not here, there's no podcast. Not because the rest of these guys can't talk to each other. They can. Nobody knows how to click a record button. Nobody knows how to edit.
You never gave us the login info.
God, you could use Zoom, but I don't think you would know how to edit a video. Because I barely know how to edit a video. So let's call it spade a spade.
Anthony, must be making $650,000 a year, eh? This guy traveling all over the world.
Amazing. It's amazing.
Going to Italy.
I'm going to Tuscany.
Oh,
yeah, a little bit in the countryside and then a little bit in the city of Florence, which, by the way, is averaging about 38 to 39 degrees Celsius a day right now.
Jesus.
Looking forward to it. But it is what it is. So we will record when I come back. And my guess is nothing will have changed in the landscape of Toronto sports. And much like these teams that we follow, we'll just rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat. But we hope that you'll keep watching. So thanks for tuning in this week. If you're on YouTube, you know what it is. Hit the like button, subscribe, leave a comment, tell your friends. Please tell your friends. If you're listening on Spotify or Apple Music, we always appreciate you as well. Give us a shot on YouTube, though. You get to see our faces. And I happen to think that we are a good-looking bunch. And that's it. I got nothing more to say. Have a good week, everybody.
See ya.
Ciao.